Welcome back to Sunday Vibes, one and all. Hello, it's me, I'm back, and I'm joined by Doogie Critchley and Michael McCubbin to talk about some football in the new year of 2024. We're still here, we're still doing it. How are you boys? Good new year?
Yeah, it was alright. Yeah, not too bad. Just been watching a lot of darts recently, to be honest.
I know.
So
Same.
yeah,
Darts daily.
Yeah, I would much rather be doing a preview of the darts. Actually, it'll be done by now. But yeah, all good. Thanks. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, we're shooting this quite a long way in advance of when you're watching it. So if you're wondering why we're talking about the darts and the new year, it's actually only the 2nd of January today.
Yes.
So hello 2024. Doogie, how was your new year, mate?
It was good, thank you. Yeah, I had my godson's christening on the 31st, then into a big party. Did the worm, so kicked off the new year in the right way.
Standard.
As usual. And no, it was a great new year. What about yourself, Joseph? Do you have a nice period?
Yeah, not too bad. Didn't watch any football, which was apparently thankful, because
Probably quite
Man United absolutely stunk the gaff out again, by all accounts. But nevertheless, we are going to talk about some football today. It's, of course, 2024, so we're going to be giving you our predictions for 2024. Lots of categories to get through here as well. We're going to be looking at all of the leagues, we're going to be looking at all of the cups, and we're going to be doing big signing and Ballon d'Or in there as well. Let's start with the leagues, shall we?
Yeah.
Le Premier League to start with.
The Premier League.
Tapping.
Difficult.
Tapping.
I
Really?
don't know. I think it's
Tapping.
harder than usual. I think it's gone under the radar up until recently. City have been a little bit off it, and obviously there's reasons for that. I think their best defender, John Stones, has been out for the majority of this season. Probably the best midfielder in the world when he's on form. Kevin De Bruyne has only played 23 minutes. Haaland's missed the last 4 league games. So for them to be, 5 points off Liverpool with a game in hand, which is against Brentford, who have actually been surprisingly poor recently.
I know.
I think they've lost 8 of the last 9. So they've been, that looks like a
They
tap
need Tony back bad.
I am going for Man City, though. Having said all that, I do think if they are in touching distance by the time De Bruyne gets back, which it looks like they will be, I just think he makes such a difference in that side. And Liverpool, I think, now look like probably the second strongest team, I would say. At least on the basis of last night. We are filming this the morning after that Newcastle absolute... Well, it ended up 4-2, but it's over 7 XG, a
Crazy.
record, absolutely mental. And Arsenal just not having a very good festive period, having been, top on the 23rd after that draw at Anfield. It feels like a strange decision right now, as we film this, to back Arsenal. So I am going with Man City. I don't know whether you guys...
Yeah, I'm also going for Manchester City. I think there's a little bit of hyperbole developing about Arsenal at the moment and just how bad they are. I still think they're a really, really effective team. I just think the forward line is misfiring a little bit, and I don't feel like they've got the attackers this season that can push Man City and Liverpool to the extent they need to. Like, I think Salah and Haaland's goal involvements will just effectively take them to a level that Arsenal can't reach with that forward line, unless somebody from that forward line suddenly in the second half of the season, which is possible, Saka, fantastic player, somebody goes up and just sticks up 15 goals, something like that, then it's very, very possible. But at the moment, I can't look past City and Liverpool, and I think Manchester City, as they've proven consistently for the last 5 or 6 years, get better in the second half of the season. They are always better from February onwards than any other team, and the only way you can really compete with them is to be built such a big gap up to February that they are like chasing their own tails to a level. I just don't think that, if they're 2 points behind at Christmas, I think come February they could end up being 10 points clear. Honestly, I think when KDB's back, when Haaland's backfiring, John Stones gets fully fit again, and the team just starts to click, which it always does under Pep Guardiola second half of the season. I think the Club World Cup final was a big moment for them as well. I think they're playing significantly better since then. I just think that City are gonna kind of walk away with it a little bit, worryingly.
I don't know. I've gone for Liverpool. I think City is the safe option.
Even
for
with
sure.
Salah going AFCON.
Yeah, I think if Liverpool can ride out January without Salah, which they do still have good options. I know Salah is a talismanic figure in that forward line, but they still have a very stacked forward line. They have someone like Harvey Elliott, who has played brilliantly on the right wing before, even if he's been used more in a midfield position at Liverpool. Curtis Jones now more of a fixture in that midfield. Well. I think Curtis Jones might actually be Liverpool's best midfielder, if I'm honest. Like, he's never failed to impress me whenever he's played, and given that I think Szoboszlai has been well under par for the last month. I really, really like Curtis Jones, and I think Liverpool play a lot better with him in the side. yeah, I think Liverpool, they will have to ride out January. There's no doubt about that. But there's not actually that much Premier League football in January. There's a lot of FA Cup, there's EFL Cup to be dealing with there, which, to be fair, Salah will be a loss for that EFL Cup semi-final. But nevertheless, and I think what sets them apart from... Basically, I just didn't want to pick City because I just can't be bothered to back City every single year.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So for me, it was kind of between Liverpool and Arsenal. I just kind of wanted to keep it a bit more interesting. But I just think compared to Arsenal, at least, Liverpool in December were not great, to be honest, up until that Arsenal game. And even that Arsenal game, they could have lost it. But they still came through, and they came through that Palace game 1-2-1.
Sheffield United, they played quite badly in as well.
Yeah, and even Man United, they didn't have a great game, and still got a point at least. The Fulham game as well, could have easily lost that. And now, since that Arsenal game, they've looked really, really good. And that West Ham game, actually, in the AFL Cup, they were brilliant in as well. So I just kind of think, the momentum's in them at the moment. Yes, it's definitely recency bias. Yes, we haven't seen that much Man City in the Premier League. But, with Man City, you are relying on Kevin De Bruyne coming back and getting back to his best straight away. You are relying on Erling Haaland coming back from injury and getting back to his best straight away. The players in that team at the moment, yes, Phil Foden's come back into a bit of form. Jack Grealish has looked a little bit better recently, but both of those players were quite inconsistent before. They're they don't have Ilkay Gundogan, they don't have Riyad Mahrez, who was so important to them last year.
To come back still, though.
They do have Doku to come back, but even then, do I see Doku sustaining the kind of form he had in the first half of the season, the second half? Not. I don't think there's a guarantee of that. I think Liverpool, and if there is a team that are used to going toe-to-toe with Man City in that second half of the season, it is Liverpool. Yeah. And again, it's a different Liverpool team. I think they still need to recruit probably in defence and midfield in January. But if they can do that, then I think they have a really, really strong chance.
All right, so Liverpool and 2 Manchester Cities. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? La Liga?
Mm-hmm.
Bit easier here?
I think
For
so.
me anyway.
I think so. I mean, both Real Madrid and Girona are 7 points ahead of Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. Barcelona in particular, it's gone under the radar just how terrible they were in the first half of the season, at least domestically.
I think if Xavi wasn't Xavi...
Well, exactly.
There'd be questions
huge
being
conversations.
asked.
And even the tail end of their Champions League group, they really nearly messed up a group with a fairly average Porto side compared to what we've seen in previous years, like an all-time terrible Antwerp side. They nearly messed that up as well. I think Real Madrid... the next month or so is crucial, isn't it? Because they've not got Militao, they've not got Courtois, they've not got David Alaba now. I think Camavinga's out for a couple more weeks. Vinicius Junior is not back till February. But I think, which we'll probably come on to in due course, they've probably got the outstanding player in Europe so far this season in Jude Bellingham. And he just doesn't make such a difference. And I think it's gone under the radar. Rodrigo's really stepped up this year as well. I think Joselu has surprised me with how effective he's been at different points. And their depth in midfield is absolutely superb as well. So I think they can muddle through. I don't think it's a vintage La Liga season by any means, and I think they will eventually probably win by at least 6 points. I
can't remember the last vintage La Liga season,
it's been a while.
It's been a while, but I agree. I think
18,
Real Madrid, like you said, I think the list of injuries that you've just mentioned there, the fact that they are still 7 points clear of Barcelona, I think that's a big concern for the rest of the league. Vinicius Junior's missed 75 odd days now with that hamstring problem. When he returns, that's a big W for them. And I'm still not totally writing off the fact. I'd say it's very, very unlikely, but I don't think it's impossible that Mbappe joins in January. Like if Mbappe joined in January and PSG ended up saying, look, we do need the cash, we want the cash, because he's going to leave in a free in the summer anyway. If that happens and they end up spending 100 mil to bring Mbappe in, then the league is a total write-off. I don't think it will happen. I think that's very unlikely. But I'm going to suggest Mbappe for a later one of these predictions. But I just think that Madrid have too much firepower. I think Barcelona's forward line, Lewandowski in particular, what a terrible transfer that was, man. What a terrible transfer.
Yeah, has it?
Hasn't been good. Not been good. I'm going for Real Madrid as well. I think just to have that kind of cushion of points at this time of the season, I think Girona have been brilliant. I think they've been well worthy of their place in the league so far. They've got the best attack in the league. And I can actually see Girona challenging. I actually can.
Really?
They're level on points halfway through the season, and none of their none of the underlying numbers suggest that they've been that much worse than Madrid. So I can actually see Girona keep you on, but obviously they don't have the depth that Real Madrid have. Like, I think, Barca and Atleti, I'm sure will pick up form at some point, but I just think, I think 7 points is enough of a cushion at this point for Real Madrid. I'm going to go with them.
Moving on then, next league, Serie A.
Yeah.
Again, are we all unanimously saying
straightforward? I think it's one of the most
so
straightforward ones. I think they have been far and away the best side in Italy so far.
Juventus are hanging in there.
Juventus very much hanging in there, but in terms of goals scored, I think they've scored 14, 15 goals fewer than Inter. I think they've only conceded a few more, but Allegri is sort of getting the best out of that. Well, it's not definitely the best to watch, but is doing the job. A lot of goals by sort of one goal margins, but I think Inter have by far the outstanding player so far this season, Lautaro Martinez. He's been absolutely sensational. And Marcus Thuram as well on a free. I mean, how many clubs missed out on Marcus Thuram?
Oh my God.
You look at Man United, you look at Chelsea, you look at Real Madrid. They could all have done with Marcus Thuram. DiMarco on the left-hand side is having an excellent season as well. And then Calhanoglu in that rebuilt role as that regista, I think has just made such a difference as well. So for me, Inter Milan by quite a distance as well. I've been really disappointed with Milan, and even more so Napoli this year.
Yeah, I mean, Napoli have been an utter disaster, haven't they? The fact that they've managed to get Victor Osimhen to agree to that new contract is well, I suppose it's surprising to a level.
On Twitter as well.
The release clause will probably get triggered.
I think it does help him, doesn't it? I don't think his previous deal actually had a release clause in there, right? It was just kind of running down. So this kind of to a level means that Victor Osimhen will be allowed to leave the club. But I agree. Inter Milan definitely the outstanding team. I actually think they could cause some problems in the Champions League. Inter Milan in singular one-off games. I don't think they're going to win it by any stretch, but they're one of the clubs that I wouldn't want to be drawn against. I just think Inter Milan is a tap-in for Serie A.
Yeah, I think if Juve were not their closest challengers, I'd be less sure. But I just think, although Allegri's done a brilliant job this season, Adrian Rabiot's having another brilliant campaign, and they have been good, especially defensively. Inter just have a lot more than them. You talk about Calhanoglu, he's almost considered the best midfielder in Italy at the moment, which is just pretty outrageous, and just goes to show what a great job Simone Inzaghi's done with him. Inter.
Next up, Bundesliga. Could have some differences here.
It's got to have an outrageous shout. I'm going Leverkusen.
You going Leverkusen?
I'm going Leverkusen
I'm
as
going
well.
Munich.
Yeah. But Leverkusen, if you say it's a
it's not outrageous.
Outrageous.
It's
they've been the best team in Germany this season.
But the issues are going to come this month because they lose Tapsoba, they lose Kostanu, so that's two of their starting back three. Boniface as well.
Nathan Teller.
Is where and Nathan Teller. Is Nathan Teller? Yeah, okay. So that is the concerning point. But I think you've just got to hold your hands up and just applaud what they've done so far this season. They've scored over 80 goals. They are unbeaten. They're the only unbeaten side in the top 5 leagues in every competition. They went 6 out of 6 in the Europa League, which we'll probably come on to in due course. And every transfer has really come off, like Grimaldo, Xhaka, Hoffman in the forward line, Boniface, obviously exceptional going forward. And full credit to Xabi Alonso because he's relatively new at this, really relatively new at this. Sort of first senior job, and massive turnaround last year, and has taken that team onto new levels this year. And as long as they don't lose, as in sell anyone in January, I think they're going right to the very end with this Bayern side, who do still have the occasional shocker in them. I think their general level's been excellent, but there has been that defeat to Saarbrücken. They got thrashed in the German Super Cup as well by RB Leipzig. So there is the occasional shocker in there, and I don't really trust all their centre-backs in the same way that I do that defensive unit of Leverkusen as well. So I'm going Leverkusen.
Mikey, you're going Leverkusen?
I'm going Leverkusen as well. I just think they've been the best team so far. Having said that, the AFCON misses are big. But I'll stick with them. I think because I think Bayern, although I think Bayern are going to have a strong second half of the season, like Doogie said, they do have a shocker in them that hasn't changed under Tuchel, especially in domestic competition. So yes, I think Leverkusen just have more than Dortmund did last year. I think they'll go the course.
I'm going for Bayern Munich. Obviously a bit of a tap-in, I suppose. But, Leverkusen have been outstanding this season. I just think this reminds me a little bit of Arsenal last year, Arsenal, Manchester City last year, where you've got this sort of breakout, outstanding young team coached by a manager who's also very, very exciting and something of an unknown quantity. But across the course of the campaign, I think the experience sometimes shows, and not that Leverkusen don't have that experience, because it's the signings of players like Granit Xhaka, and that proves that they do. But I just think that Bayern have the know-how to get this done, and I just think they've got the outstanding player in maybe European football in Harry Kane, who can just score the goals to win you this league. And I think across the second half of the campaign, I back Harry Kane to really, really propel Bayern Munich to new levels, and I actually do think they are gradually getting better. I know they've had a couple of shockers in there, but from where we saw them at the start of the season under Thomas Tuchel to the final game of before the winter break, I think there's marked improvements across the team, particularly in that back line. I think Deo Upamecano looks much improved. I think
Kim Min-jae looks a lot better as well.
Kim Min-jae is from day one. Kim Min-jae at Bayern Munich, where arrived to a bit of fanfare, to be fair, to that release clause, but was looking a little bit suspect. Now looks markedly improved, and Musiala's doing Musiala things again. Leroy Sane slowly looking back to his best. His pace across 5 or 6 yards now is just so scary, and I think that link up between
couple of injuries, it's very thin in certain areas.
It is, but I think Harry Kane, Musiala, Sane link up, it's just too frightening for me not to give them the league. I think, even though Boniface has been firing in the manner he has been, I think just the experience to know how to get that job done.
You can't really argue with it. It's not a stupid shout by any means.
Liga, PSG, boring.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is probably the most boring one.
Every year, who cares, man?
Yeah. And to be fair, a lot of their players have had quietly pretty good campaigns. I think Osimhen Dembele maybe doesn't have the numbers to back up just how exciting he's been to watch. But Mbappe scoring 18 league goals already. That's such a huge factor, and the fact that they brought in 30 new players in the summer, I think it was going to be a transitional year. I think there's different pressure on them this year. I don't think anyone's expecting them to win the Champions League, although I think I did pick them as my dark horse, which was a bit cheeky considering they can't ever really be a dark horse. But yeah, Nice have probably been their closest challenger, but they just don't score enough goals, Nice, to win a title, I don't think. So PSG.
Yeah. Agreed. AFCON.
Why don't you guys go for this? I feel like I've kicked off everyone.
I was really struggling.
Yeah, same. Because I kept on. I was looking into the kind of form of a lot of the big kind of national sides in this tournament, and a lot of them are
bad.
Pretty in different form. Lot of sides with managers who've only started their reign in the last year or so. So I've gone really safe here. I've gone for Senegal. To retain the title. I just think Aliou Cisse has, he's presided over a really steady ship there. Runners up in 2019, won it in 2022. I think they looked pretty good at the World Cup as well. The only African side other than Morocco to make it out of their group. I was tempted to go for Ghana because I thought they looked pretty good at points, but really Mohamed Kudus is their only real star player, I think. Whereas
especially
Senegal,
Partey out.
Yeah. So with Senegal, I just think their spine is very, very strong. I know you haven't got Liverpool Sadio Mane in there, but he is still excellent on the international stage. I think they're the safest shout for me.
I've gone for an outside shout, Egypt.
Okay.
Ooh.
Salah
factor.
Yeah.
I just think the Salah factor again. Yeah, I mean, he's dragged them close before, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And I do think that the form he's in at the moment, despite the fact I think some of his all-round play has been a little bit sloppy at times, on the ball in particular, I just think his goal-scoring numbers can propel Egypt to it, to be honest with you. And when you look at the rest of the teams, like you said, I don't think there is a standout sort of nation. They're playing really well in form. I was also tempted by Ghana as well, but I think the fact that Thomas Partey hasn't been included in the squad, I think is a big factor for them. So yeah, I'm going to go Egypt.
Fair enough. I'm going Nigeria.
Okay.
I think they've underachieved actually at AFCONs in recent years compared to how talented their squad's been, at least in the last 15 years.
They're very top heavy is the only thing.
Very top heavy, but I do just sometimes think in tournaments, when you don't have that much time to prepare, when it's coming mid-season, just having so many options off the bench.
It is crazy.
Change in the final 30 minutes. The fact Osimhen's there, Boniface, Terem Moffi, these are top strikers. I feel like a gift Orban as well. Which other nation pretty much on earth can back up 4 young strikers of that quality? I don't think there's that many. So I think Nigeria, But it will be a bit of a turnaround because they haven't been playing that well in AFCONs in years gone by.
Yeah, let's bring it back to Europe because the Euros is happening. Euro 2024.
I think there's a sensible shout and then there's a fun shout, and I'm going to go fun. I think England have a very good chance.
I've said England as well.
Yeah. I think
the English saying England. Every commenting right now going.
I know it's
France.
typical,
Yeah,
but actually, if you look at who are the form players in Europe right now, I think Bellingham and Kane are the two outstanding players so far this season, and both are, unless they get an injury, likely to start and dominate a tournament. I think there's really good depth in pretty much every area other than central, defensive midfield. If Rice got injured, I think that's curtains. If John Stones isn't fully fit, I think that's curtains as well. But if they are, I think England.
Yeah, I agree. I think Harry Kane's goal scoring output, that frightening. Much more frightening than any other European striker.
In Germany as well, it's a home tournament for him.
Yeah, technically. But I think you look across, take Kylian Mbappe out of it, obviously not including him as a striker because he can play wide as well. But as out-and-out number 9s, I think England have by far and away the best number 9 at the tournament. I think they have the best attacking midfielder as well in Jude Bellingham, and maybe the best defensive midfielder in Declan Rice right now. I know that Rodri, you can put him up alongside him as well, and we can talk about Kimmich for days, can't we? But I think Kimmich in that Germany team, don't really think that Germany team's functioning well at all anyway, so it kind of takes it down a level. And I think Spain as well, slightly dysfunctional too, even though Rodri is in there. I don't quite understand his usage at times, playing as a centre-back we've seen at the World Cup recently, and not in his classic role, whereas Rice is going to play the Rice role. And if you play him in the Rice role, he's probably top 3 in Europe this season so far for me, alongside Rodri and Joshua Kimmich. So I think there's every chance England have 3 of the best players in Europe in their positions. And I don't think many other nations can say that, other than maybe France. Chouameni, if he starts, then is going to be pretty outstanding in there. Obviously, Griezmann does what Griezmann does for France, and then Kylian Mbappe. Those are probably the rivals. I just don't see a way past England and France here.
I don't too. But past England and France. I think it's going to. I think it's going to be one of England or France. I'm going to go France. I just think if it were to come down to a match between the two, I just still think France edge it.
It's the backline, man, isn't it?
Yeah, the backline's so good.
The game experience.
I also just think Deschamps is a brilliant tournament manager, and we saw that in that quarter-final in 2022. Like France, I think they deserved it, didn't they? England's only but if England had taken that to extra time, it would have been through 2 penalties, one of which was quite a lucky penalty to get. A really stupid challenge, wasn't it, on Mason Mount in those final 10 minutes. So I think I think France, I think they have been, generally speaking, the best tournament team probably of the last 20 years, and especially under Deschamps, they've just never really looked. They've never looked particularly under par in any major tournament. Am I forgetting one that they were bad?
They didn't play great at Euro 2020. But
they
made the last 16.
True. Yeah, they did.
And
lose
I think
to
they lost some
Switzerland.
penalties.
Yeah, they drew. That was a bit of a shocker from them against Switzerland, wasn't it?
That was when Mbappe's mum and Rabiot's mum were fighting in the stands.
Yeah,
never put it past
great memories.
That sort of nonsense to go on, man.
It's true. It's
Never
true,
put it
but
past that sort of nonsense.
But I just think as well, Mbappe at the World Cup. If France win that World Cup against Argentina, then I think that Mbappe across that tournament goes down as one of the great tournament performances. But anyway, I'm going to go France. Yeah,
I've got an outside bet. I would think watch out for Portugal. They always, they actually underperform, I think, at World Cups historically, but always do better at Euros. And Bobby Martinez's Portugal have been, which they always do. Roberto Martinez's sides dominate qualifying and then struggle in tournaments. But I think he's got serious depth. At Belgium he was always slightly undone by 1 or 2 positions. He never had particularly strong wing backs. I think Portugal's throughout that side, there's so much quality, all playing at top European clubs, all playing at a very high level. And even Cristiano Ronaldo, who you thought post World Cup should be moved out that side, is played phenomenally well in qualifying, at least in terms of goal scoring. Gonzalo Ramos off the bench as well. I really like their options. So they'd be my outside bet, but my heart is saying England, but my head probably France.
Yeah, Copa America also.
Yeah,
this feels a little bit more straightforward than normal because Brazil have been so poor recently. And
I think Uruguay.
Yeah,
true. Uruguay have done Argentina, they've done Brazil recently. They've looked pretty exceptional under Marcelo Bielsa. They've taken the scouts of all of these major nations. I think
It's a fair shout.
It's
a fair shout.
Yeah.
I mean, Brazil also had the news over the Christmas break, I should say, that Ancelotti's extended his deal at Real Madrid, which is a sad blow for them. And all those players, Vinicius Junior, Eder Militao, that were sort of campaigning for him to join the national team. I'm going to go with Argentina. I just think they're probably in pretty relaxed mood after sort of conquering that World Cup, obviously, and Messi still doing the business for Argentina. Uruguay is a little bit thin in certain areas. They've obviously got some exceptional players in. They've got an exceptional striker in Nunez. Exceptional's maybe a bit far, but
for Uruguay,
Nunez, Valverde, Araujo at the back, Jimenez, but maybe not enough coverage around different positions compared to Argentina. So I'll go with Argentina.
I'm going Uruguay.
Yeah, I'm going Uruguay as well. I just think it does. I feel like, generally speaking, at Copa Americas over the years, the best team in South America tends to win it. Like the form team tends to win it. And I think Uruguay are the form team in South America at the moment. I didn't look that much more into it, to be honest. I think it's between Argentina and Uruguay. Gonna go Uruguay.
Yeah, I'm also going Uruguay. Next up, we have got the cup competitions in Europe, the Champions League.
Oh yes, yes. Do you guys want to go first?
I'll kick off. I think Bayern are going to win the Champions League.
So do I, mate.
Yeah,
me and you both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of using Joe's logic actually around the Bundesliga, and maybe I should have put Bayern as Bundesliga winners by this logic, but I just think, like Joe was saying before, like the defence looks a lot better now than it did early in the season. Harry Kane is having...
Didn't they ship 5 to Frankfurt in sort of early December?
Yeah, but they've looked a lot better since then, and I think that was a bit of an anomaly, generally speaking.
They do have those freak results.
They do, but
they'll bring in a 6 as well. That's my logic behind them getting even better. I think if let's say they bring in Joao Palhinha, I think they
does
can
he want to leave
away.
Fulham, the mighty white?
I think he
flying
does.
off that.
I think he definitely does. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess especially if they bring in another 6,
they're going to bring in a 6
they'll look great.
There's no way they don't.
I think they had a favourable last 16 draw. I don't think Lazio will cause them too many problems. I think aside from Man City, to be honest, I think they are the outstanding team left in the competition, and I think it's particularly the fact that Kane is in the best scoring season of his life. I think Leroy Sane, arguably the best winger in Europe this season. I just think that attack is so frightening, and anyone who comes up against them is going to have whoever plays Bayern in the quarters or semis, assuming that they get there, will probably have to put in the best performance of their season in order to hold them at bay, at least. I think Bayern at kind of base level can put away most teams, and if they come up against a Man City, then I think it will be a pretty even contest. But I just think on the basis of what we've seen this season in terms of the output from their attacking players, I think Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I've already spoken about Bayern Munich obviously across the first half of the season, the second half of the season. I think they'll sign a 6, and I do think that Thomas Tuchel's Champions League record has to be taken into account here, man. Like, he knows how to get the business done in 2-legged European knockout games. I know that we've seen him failing a little bit in the domestic front, especially was it against Saarbrücken. Maybe a freak result, but I think on the European stage, we've seen him get to Champions League finals with PSG. We've seen him win the thing with Chelsea, an unfancied Chelsea team, against a Manchester City side that were far better than them throughout the entire tournament, and then came down to a 1-game shootout. And Tuchel tactically can get the job done. I think with the right 6, I still think they're probably missing that. But if they get a Joao Palhinha, who has been, again, outstanding this season for Fulham, we talk about Declan Rice and Rodri being the best 6s in the league, maybe because of his on-the-ball ability, that slightly below that. But off the ball, I mean, probably the best number 6 in the league in terms of his defensive output, just as an absolute destroyer. If Bayern get a player like that through the door, and you combine that with Harry Kane's goals and Thomas Tuchel's know-how at European knockout football, I think that I just don't see anybody beating them unless Manchester City do Manchester City things.
I'm just not convinced. I think even if they have to sign a 6, you're sort of guaranteeing that he can instantly come in, Joao Palhinha, who's never played at that anywhere close to that level before, and instantly raise the level of a team that does have massive issues in transition defensively, and I think concede far too many goals from set pieces as well. They conceded 3 against Man United in the first game they played. I think they conceded over 20 shots in one of the games, I think against Copenhagen. they're just not that solid defensively. And yes, Jaipalina, it's great on paper that he can come in and make a massive difference. But you're looking at a Man City side that don't need to sign anyone in January. I know they haven't been perfect this first half of this season either.
They haven't been particularly good at the last 2 months.
I don't think they have been, but in their Champions League form, in terms of shots per game, I think they're over 25.
Conceded to it home against Leipzig in transition, didn't they?
That is true. That was the only sort of blip, but they still got the job done in that game. I think Bayern had a worse group stage than Man City. Yeah. I think Man City...
Much tougher group, though, they were in.
I just really struggled to see Man City getting knocked out in a two-legged game. I mean, it's same with Bayern. They are the two outstanding teams.
It's hard to go back-to-back, though, man.
My third choice team...
back-to-back.
Yeah, true. My third choice team would have been Inter Milan, but I think Atletico Madrid's actually a really difficult tie. So I think it's between Man City and Bayern. Again, I'm just going with Man City.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I think Arsenal also would have probably been my third choice.
Those semi-final shouts are quietening a little bit.
Yeah. Next up, then we got the Europa League. Is anybody not saying Liverpool here?
Yeah, I'm saying Liverpool.
I've gone with Leverkusen.
Yeah, it's one of those two.
I went with Liverpool. Have the advantage of, I was looking actually at their squad beforehand. They've really rotated, so they have lost 2 of the 6 Europa League games, but Salah only started 2 games. McAllister 1, Van Dijk 1, Alisson 1, Szoboszlai 0. So they very much.
Leverkusen can compete on both fronts.
This is the issue.
With AFCON and
with the AFCON players will be back by then. I think they can. Again, it's so much comes down to the draw and who gets knocked out in the sort of last 30.
That's the greatest season ever for them, mate. You've predicted them to win the Bundesliga and the Europa League.
Why not? It's about time. I mean, they haven't won a trophy since
for
30 years.
Leverkusen
Cursing Leverkusen.
I mean, they are a cursed club.
Yeah, cursed man.
They're one of the most cursed clubs in football history.
Yeah. It would be an extraordinary achievement, and it does feel a little outlandish. But I think Liverpool could very much go deep in the Premier League as well. I think if they are neck and neck with Man City with 10 games to go or so, who are they playing in the Europa League? I don't know. I think
who do they need to play, mate?
Huh?
Who do they need to play?
Yeah, this is true.
I think
I'm going Leverkusen.
Yeah, I just think Liverpool are the strongest team left in it. I think that I've just gone by that logic, but I do think I think they will play each other at some point, and I think there will be a moment there with Xabi Alonso in the opposite dugout at Anfield, and it will. In 3 years' time, in 3 years' time, people will look back at that game as being like, that was the the first time we saw Liverpool manager Xabi Alonso in the dugout at Anfield, because he is good.
3 years ago, everyone was like, Steven Gerrard guaranteed.
Yeah, I know, but I know. But little did people know about the mighty Michael Beale, and it's just different level though, isn't it? It's different gravy. Like I think Xabi Alonso is a really good candidate to
Steven Gerrard. I have just backed his team to do a League and Europa League double.
Yeah, you have.
But like you say, with Xabi Alonso, it's like I can't think of a manager who went to the top level so quickly got his first job at the top level so quickly and did so well so quickly.
Maybe
Pep basically. Yeah, I was thinking Pep. So yeah, he certainly is a special manager. Not guaranteed to be the Klopp replacement, but I think he's a pretty outstanding candidate, and I think I think it would be an incredibly popular appointment for Liverpool fans as well.
He's never getting sacked though.
Sorry?
He's never getting sacked though.
What
at Liverpool?
No. But yeah, so I don't really know what much else to say.
Yeah, you're going Liverpool. You're going Liverpool.
And also, Klopp will be really keen to get his hands on this trophy because his first season in charge at Liverpool, he had that fairy tale run to the final where there was that amazing comeback against Dortmund, and fell at the last hurdle to Sevilla. Like I think that's the only competition that Klopp has taken part in as a Liverpool manager and hasn't won. So I think he'll be super, super determined for it.
Yeah, and the depth is there, man, for Liverpool to do something in that,
100%.
Especially in forward areas, and to be honest with you, in midfield, even players like Ryan Gravenberch, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, who's not guaranteed to start, Thiago potentially to come back as well, Endo in there. Maybe centre back depth is a bit of an issue, but I think it's time we gave some props to Joe Gomez this season.
Yeah. I was going to say Jarrell Quansah as well.
The Joe Gomez remontada continues, mate. I don't think anybody saw this coming. So much better recently. I don't know what's going on or what has happened there, but so much improved defensively and on the ball. I think Liverpool go and win this. Conference League, Villa,
yeah.
I didn't want to be too boring. I actually
went
with Fiorentina.
Okay.
Made the final last year. I thought were probably better than West Ham throughout that competition. Fair enough to West Ham for getting over the line. Made the Coppa Italia final last year. I think they're a good cup team. Vincenzo Italiano feels like a shoe-in to get a top 4 Serie A job, or a guaranteed top 4 Serie A job in the next couple of years. I think they'll be a very difficult side to beat. Logic would dictate that it would probably be Villa, but I want it to be a bit different.
And they were not good in the group stages, Villa.
No, not really.
They were scraping in the group stages, but Unai Emery turns up, and Unai Emery, I'm sure, will do what he does in Europe. Next up, we've got big signing.
Why don't you guys go first, because I've got a bit of a shock one.
All right.
Okay.
I just think it's going to be Kylian Mbappe.
But to Real Madrid?
To Real Madrid, yeah. And I think that will be... I mean, if that happens, I don't see how there can be a bigger signing. This is probably the best player on the planet in terms of his, technical footballing ability. Not necessarily, at times, I think his attitude leaves a little bit to be desired, Kylian Mbappe, but in terms of his actual footballing ability, there is nobody better than him when he's at full tilt, and I think he is going to be he's the most Real Madrid signing ever. I just see this happening. I see him playing in white. I think he fits into the front line really nicely. I can see next season a front line of Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. with Endrick coming off the bench.
Only thing is, Mbappe doesn't want to play as a striker.
I don't think it matters
at Real Madrid.
Really? You're just playing. Okay, just play on the front line. A front three of Rodrigo, Mbappe, and Vinicius is vile. It's vile, isn't it? It's in 1v1 and in transition, you're dead. And then I think if Endrick has the impact a lot of people are suggesting that Endrick can have on European football, Real Madrid have set themselves up worryingly well. The forward line is pretty young. The midfield is super young and super talented. If they can get, basically, thank God William Saliba signed a long-term contract at Arsenal, because if they'd have coaxed the William Saliba into that back line alongside Eder Militao, the next decade of European football could have been a bit of a write-off there. So it'd be
a bit like the European football in the 50s. Maybe they were 5 in a row.
Yeah. But I just think Mbappe is Real Madrid, and I think he's just going to be an absolute disgrace there, man. It's just the ultimate Galactico signing.
Fair.
If he goes for a free, I'm really worried.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I was very tempted to go for Mbappe. I just did read the other day that apparently there are some concerns around Mbappe's attitude and whether it would rock the boat a bit too much at Real Madrid. Having said that, does that? Yeah, it's Mbappe. And does Florentino Perez really care that much in that sense?
He's had attitudes there in the past. And Carlo knows how to deal with them, doesn't he?
Yeah, for sure. But I think the other one aside from Mbappe is Osimhen.
Yeah.
If Mbappe were to whatever reason not to leave, I think it's Osimhen. And I was very tempted to go for him to Arsenal, but actually, in this scenario whereby Real Madrid actually the Mbappe thing, doesn't happen because it's been on the cards so many times before and it hasn't happened. I'll go Osimhen to Real Madrid. I think there's going to be huge competition, obviously, from the likes of Chelsea. I think if Arsenal do fall off properly in the title race and it's seen to be a lack of goals, then I think I can see them going hard for a player like Osimhen. I think after 2 seasons of challenging hard, I think Arteta will be desperate to just find a fix in that position. But I just think Real Madrid is just the more attractive option of pretty much any club in the world right now.
Yeah.
And I think if they can put up the money for it, I think Osimhen will go there. So I'll say Osimhen to Real Madrid. And I think he'd be great there.
He would be.
Yeah.
He would be.
Equally amazing.
If you can say fit, that's always the thing with Osimhen.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of a shock one, which actually relies on a few different factors.
Okay. Is this someone going to Sunderland?
No, Liverpool win the League.
Okay.
Salah goes to Saudi Arabia.
Okay, yeah.
And then Leroy Sane is brought in
at
as
Liverpool.
Salah's replacement at Liverpool. Look,
Mm.
it's very unlikely because Bayern would not want to sell Sane. But if you lose a player of Salah's caliber, and I was talking about it in the first half of the season, they should look at someone like Takefusa Kubo.
Mbappe.
I just don't think they are going to risk replacing Salah with a project player like Kubo, as good as he looks. I think they're going to want to sign a sort of top 5-6 player in the world in his position. Mbappe, I just don't see him going to Liverpool, to be totally honest. I think Sane would be an amazing get. I think it's pretty unlikely, but it's January. It's January 2024. Let's have a bit of fun on this first Sunday vibes. I think Sane is the level to replace Salah in the next few years at least. Probably not instantly in terms of his goals and assists, but is that calibre of player. And I don't really see that many other right wingers that could replace Salah. So it does require Salah to leave. And I think he would only leave if he leaves on a high at Liverpool. I don't think he'd leave unless they won the Premier League title, to be totally honest. But let's see. If McCubbs' shout comes in the Premier League, then Sane to Liverpool.
Interesting.
I could see like Salah leaving in the summer. To be fair, like I think it's totally possible if they come in with another massive money move for Saudi Arabia, and Liverpool now have enough time to plan suitably for that departure.
It was too late in August.
Way too late in August. But I don't know, Leroy Sane coming back to the Prem.
I don't know if he'd want to.
But I mean, people also forget how much of a pinnacle playing for Bayern is as any German player. He's played really well this year. He's probably a top 5 shout for the Ballon d'Or if it was decided today. So it's a bold shout, but why not? They've got to roll the dice. I think they have to go quite big if they lose Salah.
All right, so we're going for Mbappe, we're going for Osimhen, and we're going for Leroy Sane. Never say never. The final one of the day then is the Ballon d'Or. I think for me this just has to be Harry Kane. I've got Bayern winning the Cup. I've got Bayern winning the Champions League. I've got England winning the Euros, and I've got Bayern winning the Bundesliga. If those 3 things happen, then it's as much of a lock as you can get, because he would have scored 50 goals and they'll have won 3 major trophies. One of them being an international trophy, which always pushes you towards winning the Ballon d'Or. In my opinion, I think that is kind of held in higher esteem than many other things. So I think if Harry Kane does all those things and continues at the goal output he's currently on, then he's going to be an absolute shoo-in. Potentially, even if he does 2 of those 3 things, he wins the Bundesliga and England win the Euros and he scores 60 goals for Bayern Munich, then I think he's going to win the Ballon d'Or. And I think we can talk about Jude Bellingham to a blue in the face, and if Real Madrid win La Liga and he wins the Euros, but Harry Kane wins the Bundesliga as well, I think it still goes to Harry Kane. Like, I think as shiny as Jude Bellingham is, goals talk. And if Harry Kane puts up 55 goals, breaks the Bundesliga record, which is very possible this year, goals will talk across the calendar year.
Yeah, I think players with experience as well. Like, I think that would factor into it. Just the fact that Bellingham's got the rest of his career to win a Ballon d'Or, Harry Kane doesn't so much. I think that factors into people's thinking as well. Thinking back to like Luka Modric when he won the Ballon d'Or in 2018. I think that by that logic, Kane would win it. That's why I've gone for Kylian Mbappe, because I think PSG, they walk Ligue 1, and I think France are going to win the Euros. And Mbappe's at that age now, where he's kind of overdue a Ballon d'Or. I think people are itching for him to get one. And who knows? PSG might make a decent fist of the Champions League as well. That remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm going for Mbappe.
Nice. Shout for big signing as well, Florian Wirtz as well. I think there's a very good chance that he leaves in the summer. Even if they haven't got all the way in the 2 competitions that I backed them to win, he's going to be such a hot topic come the summer. For Ballon d'Or, I went with Jude Bellingham just because I didn't back Bayern to win the Bundesliga. I didn't back them to win the Champions League. And I think Bellingham wins La Liga, and I think he has a very decent chance of being player of the tournament of the Euros if he is in this form. So I'm going with Jude Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham, Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane for the Ballon d'Or. Then let us know some of your predictions in the comments below. If you did enjoy this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Football Daily. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.